Awards night in the NFL welcomed in a new class of Hall of Famers. We recap the awards and did they get it right? The Lakers unveiled a Kobe Bryant statue and announced 2 more will be added in the future. Who else needs a statue in sports? And we head back to Vegas to wrap up the week on Radio Row with Annie Agar. That and more next on The Rally. What's up, everybody? Happy Friday and welcome to The Rally. Thanks so much for coming and hanging out with us here today. We got a good crew in studio. Joshua Perry, I'm Brooke Fletcher, and Danny Kay is back hanging out with us. She's been hanging out with us all week.
Yeah, it's been fun. I love it. And unfortunately, from what I know, I don't get to hang out with you guys for a couple weeks now. So we got better make it a darn good show today, guys.
That's right. I know we're.
I'm going to see you still.
I know they're talking about hanging out over the weekend. It's going to be okay.
We're going to have a cocktail.
We see each other all the time here. But yeah, we're going to make this last one for a while count here. We're going to talk the NFL. We're going to talk to Shams. He's out at the Super Bowl in Vegas. Annie Agar is also there. So before that, we got to talk about some news across college football, and especially with your Ohio State Buckeyes, Joshua. Just after Bill O'Brien left to join Boston College as the head coach, Chip Kelly is now expected to leave UCLA and join Ohio State as their new offensive coordinator. Now, Kelly went 35-34 during 6 seasons as the head coach at UCLA. So, Joshua, we know Kelly and Ryan Day, they have history together here. So there's some familiarity, but why leave a head coaching job at UCLA to become an OC at Ohio State?
Well, Chip Kelly was already on the hot seat at UCLA. He's a guy, as you mentioned, just slightly over 500 in his time there. There was a conversation about whether he was going to be retained for the upcoming season anyway, so I think it starts there. But if you look at Chip Kelly's behavior this offseason, it seems like a guy who really was trying to get away from UCLA, and I think he wanted to be in the NFL. He's a guy who is known to be a really good coach, but not necessarily an avid recruiter, and that's what you need to be in this NIL age. But when you talk about NIL, there's not a lot of alignment over there in Southern California for UCLA, so I think that was a part of it. Now, he gets to go and be an assistant coach where he can be purely involved in offensive design, which is something he wants to do. They've got dynamic recruiters on Ohio State's staff anyway, especially on the offensive side with Bryant, so they feel like they're not going to miss a lot by not having a guy who loves to be out there recruiting. And you mentioned the familiarity there. It makes sense that these guys would work together. I believe Chip Kelly coached Ryan Day as a player. They've worked together on staffs before. Now they get to come back together. Very similar continuity in the pass game, and I believe Chip Kelly is actually a guy who can design better run schemes and wants to run the football more than Ryan Day, so it adds an extra dimension to this offense, especially when you start to look at the pieces that are coming back for next year.
Mine's more so looking at him choosing this position. I find this to be very fascinating. This is a guy that probably would be in a hot seat position if he kept his head coaching job at UCLA for another year. And now you're going somewhere to be an assistant. The last time he had been an assistant of any sort was back in 2007, 2008, when he was an offensive coordinator for University of Oregon. Times have changed quite a bit now, and there's a lot of pressure being a college head coach or NFL head coach. We talked about the changes from the NFL and college, but now I kind of feel like he gets to chill. Is this an end of a career kind of move?
I think that time is winding down, certainly for a guy like Chip Kelly. And again, you mentioned all the pressures that come along. I think this is very intentional. And if you want to believe the reports that were out, he looked at 2 NFL coordinator positions. There was also a report that came out that he inquired about the Iowa OC spot, which is crazy because nobody wants to go there. But he definitely wanted to be out of UCLA and certainly wasn't looking at head coaching opportunities. I think if an NFL franchise called him and said, we'd like to interview you to be the head coach, he would 100% take the opportunity to interview there. I think he would be a head coach again in the NFL. If one of these schools in college football calls and says, hey, Chip Kelly, we'd like to hire you as a head coach, no, I don't want them problems. This is not what I want to do in this day and age of college football.
Well, and especially at UCLA, we talked about how he's been in the hot seat over the last few seasons there, but UCLA, they're kind of little brother when it comes to USC. They have a hard time as far as money goes. They're going to get more money now joining the Big Ten, but as far as getting NIL money, getting those recruits there, they've really struggled. And as a head coach, these are things that you don't want to think about. We've had 4 in just this cycle head coaches of college football leave for an assistant position, and let's just go through Nick Saban. arguably one of the best coaches in college football. He decided to retire.
Yep.
Jim Harbaugh won a national title, and instead of continuing that legacy there at Michigan, decided to go to the NFL. And you have Jeff Hafley, who had a head coaching job. He decided to go to the Packers as a coordinator there. And then so it's like, and then you have Chip Kelly. He took, I mean, essentially, you're staying in the conference, and you're now moving to an assistant position. So it's just kind of giving some insight, although they're not coming out and saying it, but read between the lines that, like, college football right now is the Wild West, and this is having some impact on some of the greatest coaches here in the game.
And I'll tell you right now, a lot of the coaches, because there have been some coaches that have gone from the NFL back to college football this offseason, a lot of those guys have done that because there wasn't a spot for them in the NFL this upcoming season.
Yeah.
Had they been able to find a job in the NFL, they certainly would have taken that job. I just want to tell a quick recruiting story that I was told by somebody familiar with Chip Kelly. So they bring down a group of high school recruits. They had 4 and 5 stars on campus. They're at UCLA. And they're getting the tour, and they ask one of the recruiting assistants, hey, when do we get to meet the head coach? And they said, the head coach is up there drawing up some offensive plays. He's not going to be able to come meet you. These are 4 and 5 star recruits that you're talking about. So this is the reason why you can't close on a recruiting class, is because you don't find it valuable to go and speak to these guys. But there's a flip side of that, where he was trying to design his offense. What he wants to do is be a mastermind. He's not trying to be the architect of everything. He's not trying to make sure that he can be the CEO and the CFO and you know, all the different positions that you have to be as a college football head coach. He wants to be in the X's and O's. Jeff Hafley is a guy who wanted to be in the X's and O's. That's why you see a move like that. Nick Saban is an older dude who's like, I'm not trying to do all the things that are required today, and I get it. So I think that's part of the transition we're seeing.
Yeah, and you'd imagine now that he's the OC, he can just focus on the X's and O's. And you mentioned all the weapons that they have up there in Ohio State. You know, that might be a good fit for him next season. All right, let's get to something we saw last night. That's the NFL Honor Awards. All the stars, they were out. No surprise here. Lamar Jackson, he took home the MVP award. Christian McCaffrey is your Offensive Player of the Year, and Kevin Stefanski was named your Coach of the Year by just 1 vote. All right, what was your big takeaway, Joshua, from this one?
Can we start with the Coach of the Year?
Yeah, because I know you're going to just let me have it.
Well, I'm not. I mean, it's not to do that, because my guy didn't win the award either.
I completely am with you.
Thank you.
I'm with you. D'Amico Ryans.
Right?
Jinx.
Like, and again, I think part of the award is expectations, and we can do this for Kevin Stefanski because the expectations were that they were going to be good, and then Deshaun has his issues. They go through like 5 starting quarterbacks throughout the season. Joe Flacco's got to get up off the couch, so I understand, phenomenal job, and he had one of the best defenses, if not the best defense in the NFL for a lot of the season. D'Amico had the number 2 pick in the draft. Then they move up and get the number 3 pick in the draft. C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson. Those are 2 guys who took home hardware last night. They were not expected to do anything. And here they are, not only in the playoffs, but they win a playoff game. And I know this is not a postseason award, but they went from a position where we didn't think that they were going to be making the playoffs probably for the next couple years to now people are taking them seriously, think that they're building something special that can be sustained into the future. And I don't understand how, he's the guy
with
who deserved
a
it.
rookie quarterback. That part blows my mind.
Thank you.
It was almost like Cleveland is always expected to be bad, so let's reward them for finally being good. I mean, it was such a bizarre string of events. I'm curious what you thought about the Joe Flacco thing as the comeback player of the year as well. I got lots of questions.
Well, Stefanski, he won Coach of the Year back in 2020. I mean, we've seen what he's been able to do.
Coach.
That's why it gives more of a reason for what D'Amico Ryans and how great what he was doing down there in Houston, because we haven't seen it before from him, right? We've seen it from Stefanski, not to take away what he did this season, because he did a great job. But yeah, it was
not to get on your guy, man, Campbell.
I know.
But I feel like they did the right thing. He was a phenomenal coach, right? And I'm not trying to disparage him in any type of way, but I do think that there were some other coaches more deserving. Now, you asked about comeback player of the year. I am totally here for Flacco winning that award.
Okay, what's the difference between him and Baker Mayfield?
I like Baker in that scenario as well. Like, either one of those guys, really good for me, but I'm looking at a Cleveland situation where it was like, we literally are on our last shot. And if we can't, if Joe Flacco doesn't come in here and perform, our season is in hell, and they became a team playing in the postseason. I thought that was really impressive. I know Baker made it to the postseason as well, kind of resurrected what he did, but this is also a guy who we saw as I think you could have talked yourself into what Baker did more easily than talking yourself into what Joe Flacco did this year.
Yeah, I mean, now that you bring that up, Baker Mayfield, his journey is pretty similar. Yeah. I think it was just because of the low expectations for the Browns and like what they went through, and Joe Flacco, it was just like the storyline around it. Yeah. I think people were just really bought into it, and you know, happy for him. But we got to talk Christian McCaffrey here. You think that was the right move? Voting him as Offensive Player of the Year,
now,
Garrett?
The question that I do ask, though, is if that's your Offensive Player of the Year, but it's not your MVP, and I know it's kind of two different things, most valuable versus Player of the Year type situation, but...
He could win MVP. It's just rare.
I know, but it really does feel like we think of quarterbacks first for MVP, and then it's like for Offensive Player of the Year, we can talk about everybody else, and that just is like a little bit wild to me.
Because at one point we were talking about Dak Prescott winning MVP, and it's like, how do you vote Dak Prescott over a guy like Christian McCaffrey, and just as far as the impact that they have on their team?
Didn't Dak finish second in MVP voting this year? Like, I mean, but it's because he's a quarterback.
Because he's a quarterback, exactly.
And he got the star on his helmet, too.
I mean, I liked seeing Prince Harry there. That was cool.
I mean, Cam Hayward loved it.
Yeah, he said that's
Alex Earl was there too. That was random.
Yeah, very random.
She presented, but that's neither here nor there. All right, we got a great show coming your way this Friday. Don't worry, we're going to talk some pop culture more. We're also going to talk some Radio Row because it's the final day out there. So we're going to take you out for Clay Harbor's final thoughts on the Super Bowl. And the first of 3 Kobe Bryant statues have been revealed. So who else deserves a statue? We'll answer that question. And there's still time to place your bets, everybody. We'll get some more props from our girl, Danny K. That's all coming up next. Stick around. Welcome back to the rally, everybody. Brooke Fletcher here, Danny K, Joshua Ferry. We're having fun this Friday. We have a lot to look forward to. Yeah, this is what the younger generation is doing, just scrolling through the conversation. And we're just scrolling through the show here. Listen, we got a big game this weekend, the Super Bowl. So we are going to hit up Radio Row. And our first stop is with our very own Clay Harbor, former NFL tight end. Clay, how's it going?
It's great, man. It's a great atmosphere out here. Everybody's excited about the game, and it's pretty split. You know, I'd say it's like 50-50, and obviously people think it's going to be a good game, but I was shocked at how split it is here, with people thinking Chiefs, 49ers, but it's just a great environment, seeing a lot of the players, seeing a lot of my former teammates, but also you're getting the guys from the scouting department. You're hearing some rumors, the rumor mill about what might be going on in the draft, free agency, so a really good time.
Ooh, okay. So we know that Radio Row is the place to be when it comes to Super Bowl week, but it is coming to an end here. So how would you sum up your week? You mentioned that you've been hearing some buzz about the upcoming draft. What else has really stood out to you from Radio Row?
I would say one word to sum up Radio Row would be the split again. I mean, it's just so crazy how you get all these experts together in one place. You're supposed to be the smartest guys. If you get a bunch of scientists together, they're going to say, this is the answer. A bunch of mathematicians, this is the answer. These are supposed to be the #1 analysts, and they're literally split 50-50. So I think we got a good game in store out here, and I think everybody's expecting a low scoring but a really close ball game.
What is it about that split that's got you not being able to wrap your head around it? Because now we've had, a couple weeks now, 2 weeks to look at this matchup, dissect it, and why do you think people are so split?
It's the same reason I am, and for me, you can see a path to victory for both teams, right? So you got the 49ers, who are really good in base package. Why are they so good in base? They have Kyle Juszczyk, the best fullback in the game. You have George Kittle, the second best tight end in the entire league. So you put those two guys on the field, you're in base defense. That makes the Chiefs in base defense. The Chiefs are 28th in the NFL against base defense against the run. They are 25th in the NFL against zone run. So overall, if the 49ers come out and run the ball in base package, I don't think the Chiefs can stop them. But Kyle Shanahan is known as a guy that likes to throw the ball. You go back to the 28-3 Patriots win over the Atlanta Falcons when they came back in that game because they didn't run the ball. On the flip side of that, you got Patrick Mahomes. It's hard to go against him. He could be considered the GOAT if he wins this already, in my opinion. Obviously, he's got to catch Tom Brady, but nobody's done what he's done this early in his career. And you got a guy like Chris Jones, who's a game wrecker. Okay, this guy has 85 quarterback pressures this year. That is 4th in the NFL. This guy is, and that's from interior. This is pressure up the gut, which is tough to stop. So you can see paths to victory for both teams. And the other thing that's got me confused is watching this film of this Chiefs team. This team had 36 drops in the regular season, an 8.6 drop rate, which was worse in the league. You know how many drops they got in the postseason? 2. They just woke up and decided they wanted to catch the football all of a sudden. So which Chiefs team are we going to get? Which receiving core are we going to get? Obviously, we hear Rashee Rice might have an ankle. So to me, it's just a tough matchup to call because there's so many things that are going into this game.
Yeah, they got better with the drops because they took Kadarius Toney out of the game plan. So that was very smart on their behalf. I'm with you when you start looking at angles in this game, and you did a great job of breaking down the X's and the O's. But, you start to look at the patterns for these teams, too. And I talked about this a little bit earlier, but Kansas City, it's a fast start team, but they haven't been great in the second half during these playoffs. It is the exact opposite when you start looking at the Niners. And so I think that you can script this game out in your head multiple ways and come to different conclusions. That's why everybody's so split. But I got to ask you about the head coaching matchup in this game. You got Andy Reid, you got Kyle Shanahan, you got two of the best offensive minds, the best play designers in the NFL. Who would you rather have calling the plays?
Man, it's tough to go against Kyle Shanahan. He made it to the Super Bowl a couple years ago with Jimmy Garoppolo. We saw how his career has panned out since then. Obviously, you bring Brock Purdy, an undrafted rookie, to make the Super Bowl. I mean, that's incredible what he's been able to do with Brock Purdy. But I'm going with Andy Reid. And honestly, you probably know why, because I'm a little bit biased. Andy Reid is the coach that drafted me back in the 4th round in 2010, Josh. So I'm going with Andy Reid. He knows how to get his players involved. And my number one thing with Andy Reid is he knows how to get his playmaker, since there's only really one right now, obviously besides Pacheco, the ball, and that's Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce last game lined up in 7 different positions. He lined up wide right, wide left, in the slot right, in the slot left, at fullback, at running back. He did whatever he could to get Travis Kelce the ball, to keep him off of jams. He puts him in motions. He knows what to do to get his playmaker the ball. So you can't come out there and say, hey, we're going to stop Travis Kelce. He's going to be the tight end right or the tight end left. You do not know where this guy's going to line up. And when you do see him line up somewhere, there's a good chance he's going in motion. And that's why Travis Kelce has been so effective even when the receiving core hasn't been. You think they could just key on Kelsey, but Andy Reid does such a good job of scheming him open in different positions. It's really tough to stop for defenses.
You're doing a great job breaking it down this game. I know everybody's just licking their chops, so excited for Sunday to finally be here. And obviously your day's wrapping up there here pretty soon. You were in Mobile last week. You're in Vegas this week. Which one's better? How are you going to compare your two experiences?
Oh, they're both great, but they're both so different. Obviously, Mobile, you're out there, you're scouting guys, you're looking for the upcoming rookie class. Here, there's no secrets. You know who the playmakers are, you know what's going to happen, but you just got to decide which team you're going to take. I like the Super Bowl better. It's better networking out here. You get to see a lot more former players, and me as a former player got to connect with a lot of my former brothers. So it's just a really cool event. Mobile is more of a media industry type thing. Out here, you got the players, you got the media, you got celebrities. I got to see The Rock. Got to see The Rock yesterday and say what's up to The Rock. To me, like I played with Tom Brady. Like I don't get starstruck, but I saw The Rock. I'm like, man, that is the #1 entertainer in my opinion in the world. So I have to go with the Super Bowl just because the environment, the atmosphere, the ambience out here is just so charged up and so much energy.
Oh, I'm sure the people watching is fantastic.
How would you size up The Rock? You think you can take him?
We're pretty similar. He's a big guy, man. He's 6'4". You know, some guys look big on TV and in the movies. Like you see Vin Diesel. Vin Diesel's like 5'8". Tom Cruise like 5'6". The Rock is 6'4", 6'5", and big. You know, the Rock might have me beat just because his wrestling background, but I'm gonna put up a fight with him.
I love that.
Yeah, I mean, you should have just walked right up to him. And, can we compare biceps? Yeah. Clay, have a great time out there.
He was wearing a tighter shirt than me, so yeah, that was impressive.
Thanks for hanging out with us. Have so much fun in Sin City.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, let's switch to the NBA. I think he could take him, right? Let's get to the NBA because the Lakers, they revealed Kobe Bryant's statue. Now, this is the first of 3 statues that we're going to see of Kobe Bryant. So what's your first impression just taking a look at it, Danny K?
I mean, it's great. I mean, I think that the Lakers have done such a good job in honoring him and his legacy and making sure that it's not something that's forgotten about and making sure that it is always a priority among the organization's forefront and how they do business and how they move forward. I think that they've done just such a great job honoring him throughout this entire time since his passing, and now getting a statue is just another way to do that. It's pretty impressive, and overall, it looks great.
Yeah.
Got a nice little chisel on the muscle. I
Seriously.
think Kobe himself would be very proud of it.
Some statues don't come out very well.
Some of the statues, you got to see what the return policy is because they don't look
at
great.
that. That muscle actually looks more defined than his actual arm.
Yeah, they did some favors, especially on the forearm down there. It's got a little extra striations. But
Yeah.
I'm with you. I think it's a beautiful commemoration, first off, just from the actual statue there, but what they're doing to honor his legacy and to continue promoting the game. Because the other thing about Kobe Bryant is, you know, he had daughters, and so he became a really big fan and advocate of women's basketball. And so it's not just the NBA or college basketball for men where you see the imprint there. It's like it's across the W, it's across women's college basketball, and I can certainly appreciate that. 3 statues, though. Where are we at?
A lot.
I mean, it is. I mean, everything that we talked about, it is Kobe Bryant. 3 statues, it is a lot, and it makes you wonder if it takes away from the honor and the prestige of having just 1 statue when you have 3. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make it as special. But if anybody can get 3 statues, it's our guy Kobe.
It's a lot of statues.
It's a lot of statues.
I do love this pose right here. Vanessa Bryant, she was making her speech last night, and she said that Kobe actually did pick this out. And if there were any haters out there or critics out there on this pose, he was like, she goes, he actually chose this, and she goes, if you don't like it, tough.
TS. Yeah.
So I love that from her, though.
Yeah,
but,
that's cool.
Yeah, no, it was really cool, and it got us thinking though, who else deserves a statue? Obviously Kobe does, but who else?
All right, I'm going to pound the table
Real
for
quick.
a Michigan man here real quick. Jim Harbaugh, build him the statue right now. Bo Schembechler was a legendary coach at Michigan, never won a national title. He's got a statue out there. Jim Harbaugh played at Michigan, was a phenomenal quarterback there, comes home, revives that program to where they can win a national title. Build him the damn statue ASAP.
Build a Tom Brady statue in New England. I said it.
Okay, Tom Brady next to Bill Belichick, or
Yeah,
does Tom
it
Brady?
needs to be
But
both.
who goes in front, or are they side by
Side
side?
by side.
I think we put Tom in the forefront.
I think so too.
Yes,
He's the poster child. Everyone
I don't
wants
know
to see
if
a statue
Bill
of
wants
Tom.
it then. I don't know if Bill wants the statue, if that happens.
No, that's true. That's true. All right. Well, we got more coming your way here on the rally. We're going to take you back out to Las Vegas because guess who's out there? Shams Charania, and he's going to tell us how it feels for him to be around so many hardcore football guys because he is our designated NBA guy. So that's coming up next.
Okay, give me a little feel of Radio Row. This is our third day here?
Yeah, I don't know what day it is. Like, I was telling somebody earlier, you going to New Heights party? That's tomorrow. It's tonight. I'm like, I don't know what day it is. So
It's fun. That explains exactly actually what the vibe is here. It's a mess.
As we head into Super Bowl weekend, let's take a look at former Washington Commanders quarterback Doug Williams. Doug Williams, the Grambling State University star quarterback, was the first black quarterback taken in the first round of the NFL draft. He was the first in a couple of milestones. The most important, he was the first black quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl. After trailing 10-0 early, Williams became the first player to ever throw 4 touchdown passes in a single Super Bowl quarter. As quarterback for the Washington Commanders football team, he not only helped win the game, but was the first black quarterback to be named the most valuable player in a Super Bowl. Mr. Doug Williams.
Zach Badgerhouse killing it this week, giving us all these features here as we celebrate Black History Month. As a football guy, what do you make of this one?
I think it's a really good piece of history there. You're talking about a historic franchise who went on a great run once upon a time ahead of Super Bowl weekend, and the black quarterback getting it done. I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. He's doing a great job with these. Good job, Zach. We appreciate you. We also appreciate Shams, who's joining us as we go back out to Radio Row in Sin City. Shams, how's it going out there? How was your flight?
My flight was good. Got in late last night, about 11:30 p.m. But, you know, I think after a trade deadline that was full of activity, this is definitely a change of pace. I've definitely talked a lot of NBA while I've been here, so that's a positive thing for me. But definitely, this is just a different scene. It's a different atmosphere when you come to Radio Row. This is my second year here. Today, what I've heard is that Fridays are the most dead period. So I guess I'm grateful in that way. I didn't really catch the storm. I didn't really get the zoo version of this
I
yet.
know, you're getting there on day 5. I was going to ask you if you thought the party was already gone or if you're just going to kick it up a notch.
Danny, the party's really gonna start when I get here.
See, that's the attitude we needed, Shams. I love it.
There we go. All right, so this is, like you said, this is your second straight appearance there at Super Bowl, and so I know you were all over the place last year. What did you learn from your time last year that you are gonna maybe change your approach as you head into Super Bowl weekend?
I don't know, change my approach. Maybe just enjoy the game a little bit more. Like that was my first time. So last year at the Super Bowl, I think that was really only my second, third NFL game ever. So I can count on one hand how many games I've been to. So it's always good, definitely fresh, definitely still unique to me. So just continue to soak in and enjoy the game. Obviously a great matchup this year, so I'm excited for it. And I really hope that there's news to break during Super Bowl weekend. I really do hope so. I'm ready to break NBA news during the Super Bowl week.
I like to hear that. You mentioned that you were out there talking hoops. It's the end of the week. I'm sure people are talked out previewing this game here. So do you feel like you were a welcome addition, somebody talking something different than just football?
I really do believe so, JP. I think that they needed some NBA talk into all of this NFL stuff that's going on right now. I keep getting asked who's my pick. My pick's Taylor Swift for sure. I think she is the winner out of everyone this weekend.
I love it.
What are the odds you meet Taylor Swift this weekend? I think that should be your goal.
Hey, Brooke, if you're saying it's my goal, I got to put it down as my goal. So that's my new goal for the weekend.
If anybody can do it, it's our guy Shams.
I know. I actually have a ton of faith in you. Do it for us, please. Look, Shams, there was some NBA news in the sense that Kobe Bryant now has one of 3 statues being unveiled. Do you think 3 statues is too much?
No, I don't. I mean, obviously it's sentimental. He's got 2 different jersey numbers, the Gigi Bryant component to it as well. So I'm not surprised. The Lakers, Genie bus, they had great reverence for Kobe Bryant and what he meant for that organization. Obviously his tragic death, the tragic death of his daughter, 6 other passengers on that helicopter flight a few years ago. I think it's something that the Lakers still want to find ways to show love to, tribute to, and so I really am not surprised. I think it made sense on a lot of different levels.
All right, Shams, final one for you. But everybody we've been talking to who's out there on Radio Row has discussed the buzz around the Super Bowl, the feel that they have out there in Vegas. How does the feel out there differ from maybe the NBA Finals or NBA All-Star Weekend?
Well, I've only really experienced the game from the media perspective for the NFL, so I don't know what it's like post-game, but I mean, this is definitely a different scene in the NBA. For the finals, you have media day before each home, before it goes to each home court. So there is that element, which is unique and it's grand, it's big, but definitely you don't see like this week-long thing where all the media is all gathered in one ballroom. I mean, I don't even know if you can call this a ballroom. This is just a massive auditorium of media, so it's definitely unique.
No, certainly unique, and you're a guy out there on the streets as Shams Charania, our NBA insider, mixing it up with the football people. Enjoy your time in Vegas.
Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Well, I hope you're not sick of Radio Row, because guess what? We're going back when we come back after the break, because Annie Agar, she's giving us the latest from Vegas. That's coming up next.
Also, have you seen Jason Kelsey walking around today?
I've not.
He's here and he's in flip-flops.
Love it. Love it.
What a guy. Is like the epitome of America. So he has a Rolex on and flip-flops. If you never get a question about Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce ever again, will you be happy about that?
If I never get a question?
Yeah. What do you think the vibe is today? People exhausted yet? I mean, people stayed out pretty late at the casinos last night, I'm assuming.
The vibe is great. I think the energy is still high, even though it's the morning.
Also, have you seen Jason Kelce walking around today?
I've not.
He's here and he's in flip-flops.
Love it. Love it.
How are we feeling, first of all, about the Super Bowl? Feeling confident?
I'm so confident. Bang, bang, Niner gang.
Give me a rundown of your game plan. Obviously, it's very extensive.
Well, my game plan tonight is a 4-course meal, of course. I'm going to start with some banana pancakes, move on to an omelette, then some dessert, and maybe a milkshake.
You're here, obviously, the Super Bowl. Cowboys are not. How do you feel about that?
Well, I took it this way. My Cowboys are not here, but I'm here representing the Cowboys.
That's very true. You didn't choke in the playoffs, so that's a good sign.
Yes, I made it. They didn't.
Give me a little feel of Radio Row. This is our third day here?
Yeah, I don't know what day it is. Like, I was telling somebody earlier, you going to the New Heights party? That's tomorrow. It's tonight. I'm like, I don't know what day it is, so.
It's fun. That explains exactly actually what the vibe is here. It's a mess.
All right, it is the last day of Radio Row out there in Vegas as we gear up for the Super Bowl here. So, of course, we got to bring our girl Annie Agar back. Annie, how's it going?
I just got to say, I am impressed that we are still standing upright and we have made it to Friday, you guys.
Pulling Kris Jenner, you're doing great, sweetie. Okay, so last night you're not only at Radio Row, but you were at the NFL Honors. So how was it? Tell us all about it.
It was amazing. You know, we talked earlier in the week, and this was something I was really looking forward to because everybody's dressed up. You see people you didn't really see on Radio Row. The stars were out, let me tell you. I saw some really cool people, quite a few TikTokers, which is my wheelhouse, I guess. So it was really cool to see them in person. And and the guys showed up. They looked great. I was really happy with it. Myles Garrett had an all white suit on, very sharp. It was a fun time for sure.
Now, very serious question here, Annie. What did you think of Kirk Cousins' dance moves?
Oh my gosh, I was dying. I don't think people knew something was going to happen when Cam Jordan's hilarious, right? We knew Kirk can get down a little bit. He can do a few skits. So when those two came out, I knew something was going to happen. And then the smoke came out of behind the stage, and I can tell you right now, of all the things that I expected to happen from them, that was not one of them.
Oh my gosh, so funny. All right, well, let's talk about who you saw and who was there. Any surprises on who actually came or who didn't come?
I was very surprised to see CMC there because I know a lot of the guys have a curfew out here. They're also staying. I don't know if some people know the teams are as far away from Vegas as possible, probably far away from the Strip, to kind of keep their heads focused and obviously focused on the game this weekend. But CMC walked out to get his award, and I was very impressed. He probably gave one of the best speeches too when he accepted the award. So all in all, I think almost all the guys I expected to be there were there. I was actually in the elevator with Trevor Lawrence on the way to the NFL Honors as well. So yeah, it was a great showing of guys, and I was happy to see a CMC. He deserved that award, and it was a great speech that he used to accept it.
All right, so every year typically there are going to be a couple of awards that shock us. One of them was Coach of the Year, and the other one was Defensive Player of the Year. Now, you were in the building. You could feel the crowd potentially stirring. Could you sense any consternation in the reaction from the crowd on the upsets in those awards?
Absolutely. I will say there were quite a few Browns fans in attendance. So, they have the fans up on that kind of mezzanine level, and the cheers were drastically louder whenever the Browns were announced, when Myles Garrett came on the stage. So I think it was overall they were happy about Stefanski, but D'Amico was the go-to from the start. I mean, the way he's transformed this Texans team, what he was able to do with it. Stefanski won it already once, so I think the public really wanted to see that. So there were, I wouldn't say boos, but kind of like awes almost. It was kind of like a hush fell over the audience, other than the Browns fans. So that was kind of a shocker to me. I was very surprised by that one.
Annie, I got to circle back to this elevator ride you had with Trevor Lawrence. I'm just curious, what was the interaction like? Because I had an interaction with Bryce Harper, and I said hi to him as if I knew him, and he looked at me like, who is this crazy lady? Did you say hi to him? What was this interaction like?
You know, every time I see a player, and I pray to God they don't have TikTok and don't even have a clue who I am, because I've gone in on Trevor a few times this season. So I did the casual, like, hey, you know, great season, great job out there, hoping he has no idea who I am. But he was so sweet, and I think it is his wife, right? His wife is here too, and the guys are so nice out here, and I think it's a different environment because they are with their other friends, you know, their guys, and they kind of can let their guard down a little bit. So he was talkative, and we had a nice little conversation. And now the worst part is now I have to be nice to these guys because I meet them, find out they're the best people on the planet, and then I have to go roast them later. So that makes it a little bit more difficult.
Oh no! Good people can get roasted. We're not going to do this just because he's a nice guy. People. We got to call it fair. We got to call it straight.
Good fun.
If he ain't playing good ball, we got to cook.
And honestly, if he can't handle it, that's his
right,
problem.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying. Annie, you've been down there a week.
Like Jake Butt's a great guy, but, you know, I'm going to make fun of him still.
As we should.
Yes.
As we should.
You've been down there a week. Is there anything that you saw or any conversation that you had that has changed your prediction on the outcome of the Super Bowl?
Oh, that's a good one. You know, that conversation I had with Warren Sharp, who's a big analytics guy, all over Twitter, you know, with his predictions, he swayed me into thinking the Chiefs' offense is not going to come out as strong as I think they are. He's the one that said Travis Kelce might not score a touchdown in this game. So that really changed my my perspective on this because I thought the Chiefs were going to come out firing. Although Andy Reid was right over there doing this little, like, selfie. I don't even know how to explain it, some sort of TikTok thing, and it was the funniest thing I've ever seen. So if I already didn't think the Chiefs were going to win, that solidified it for me. So no matter what anybody says, I might be riding with the Chiefs on this one.
All right. Well, I think everybody just, as the week goes on, I think a lot more people are just leaning towards the Chiefs because it's hard to go against Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. All right, Annie, you've done a great job out there at Radio Row. Have fun this weekend at the Super Bowl, and we will talk to you on Monday.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
All right, let's keep with the Super Bowl, everybody, because there's still a little more time to get your bets in. The spread for this game is hanging on at 2. Some books have it at 2.5. So, Danny, you mentioned yesterday that the futures market has impacted the line on this game. So, can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. It's just there's futures tickets, right? Mm-hmm. So at any point in time, you can wager on who is going to win major tournaments in any sport way before it even happens. So come Sunday night, when the Super Bowl is over, the next futures will already be there where you can put money down on who is going to ultimately win next year. It's really tough to tie your money up that much, especially when a lot of off-season trades can happen. I do have a ticket, like I told you guys yesterday, on the Niners to win the Super Bowl, but that happened after all the trades went down, right before the season started. So it did date back an entire season, but not a full year. But some people tie their money up that much. So much so, knowing the stacked roster that they have, so much amount of money went into the Niners. So because of that, it's not moving this line whatsoever because they actually are happy that a lot of money is coming in on the Chiefs to kind of balance it out for the book because someone's got to ultimately lose here, right? So that's why you aren't seeing that big of a change there because the plus money is enticing the public to throw a lot of money there on the Chiefs, so it's not making much movement in the line.
I'm glad that you explaided this because
couldn't have been me.
Well, we've been questioning it all day as well. I mean, all week, excuse me, as well. Brad Evans and I, it's a little puzzling because usually it would flip at this point, and it hasn't. It's also like Patrick Mahomes is at the top of the list to win MVP, but they're not favored in the game. It's a very interesting situation here, for sure.
No, that's a really good point there. But, you know, we've been going through prop bets all week, so let's dive deeper into some last-minute bets that you can make before we get into the big game here. So who is more likely to hit the over on receiving yards? Rashee Rice at 67.5 or Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 19.5?
I would go with Marquez Valdes-Scantling in this one because he tends to get this in just one catch. Right. So I just need one from Marquez Valdes-Scantling in order to do this because he has had 2 catches of 32 yards against the Bills and the Ravens. That's already over this number. Now, it's not that I don't think Rashee Rice could get his receiving yards number as well. He's got at least 60 receiving yards in 6 of the last 9 games. He's obviously become quite a deep threat there for that Chiefs team. But I think MVS can get this on just one catch. So I'm going to go with him.
I'm definitely there with you. It makes a lot of sense for MVS. I do like Rice, though, because I do think there are going to be opportunities for him to get the matchup that he wants. It's going to come, first off, because you're trying to stop Travis Kelce. But secondly, I keep going back to the play design for Andy Reid and the way that he can create favorable matchups, I think he's going to try to get this guy open because he has been big in certain moments for that receiving room.
Yeah, he's been a huge target, especially they're going to try to slow down Travis Kelce, like you said. So I would go with MVS on this one. All right, more likely to go over receiving yards, George Kittle at 50.5 or Deebo Samuel at 58.5.
This one's tough. Not going to lie to you guys, on Live on the Line earlier, my favorite receiving prop on the board was George Kittle over 50.5 receiving yards. Now, that's not because I think that Deebo Samuel can also go over his receiving yards number. It's just because I think when you look at the last time these two teams played each other back in 2022, George Kittle, 98 yards and 6 catches and a touchdown. So he had a big game. All that to say, I don't think it's a bad wager because I like the over 50.5 receiving yards for Kittle. I actually think it's Deebo Samuel, though, that can eclipse his number even more. It was talked about on Live on the Line ad nauseum, which is why I didn't take it personally. But his yards after the catch is the key thing here. Because, yes, Kansas City's defense, excellent, but 18th in yak across the league. So that's where Deebo Samuel is just going to rack up the yards.
And even more to your point, one thing that San Francisco does extremely well is they utilize him in the screen game. And we've talked about all the skill that they have at offensive line, and we've talked about Kittle and what he can do as a playmaker. Yep. All those cats move extremely well, and they can get blocks in space, and that's how Deebo's able to get the yak. He'll catch a ball just behind the line of scrimmage, and he'll take that thing 60 if you give him the lane. I definitely like this one.
And he gone. All right, well, let's get to the defense here because
like
we have a little prop here. More likely to register a sack, just one. Chris Jones or George Karlaftis? Your boy, Joshua.
Yeah, I actually am going to go with, God, I like that they're both at plus money. I'm going to go with Karlaftis. You like that move?
I do.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate it. The offensive line for the Niners was voted 21st best, or ranked, I should say, by Pro Football Focus. So I do think that there is an opportunity there. The Chiefs, in case you were wondering, they rank 3rd, their offensive line. Yeah, I would lean Karlaftis, although Chris Jones, he's just been quiet recently, so it almost makes me feel like maybe he's due for a big game. But I'm going to go with Karlaftis.
Jones is quiet because everybody knows who the hell he is. And that's, I mean, one of the best interior rushers that you're going to see in the NFL. I think folks are starting to figure out that George Karlaftis is more than just kind of like a play hard guy and a gritty guy and a guy who does well in the run game. He's got some real skills as a pass rusher. It's why I really liked him when he was coming out of Purdue, and that's why I like him to get a sack in this game.
What do you call him, Joshua?
I call him the real Greek freak.
Oh, I like
that.
The
real Greek freak.
Mahomes was sacked just twice in 3 playoff games, where Brock Purdy was sacked 3 times in 2 playoff games. So, you know, that kind of adds into it as well.
I like that.
All right. Well, you were talking about Patrick Mahomes there, and so how the Lions, they're saying, well, they're leaning towards him maybe winning MVP here. So let's take a look at the odds on who possibly could take home the prestigious award here. The 2 quarterbacks are favored. So which guys do you find most intriguing, Joshua?
Well, this is a dumb bet more than likely. I'm sure Danny's going to tell me this. Give me Travis Kelce, right? It feels like a quarterback's going to win it, whoever the winning team is, or maybe Christian McCaffrey because he is that type of dude. It just feels like the stars are aligning for this guy. You talk about Taylor Swift all the time. I was a doubter in the beginning, and now I'm a believer. I believe that this thing is real. He's also like Mr. Postseason to me when it comes to what he's done. It's been really productive, really great games. He shows up in all of the big moments. And if this game is going the way that we think it might, could be a big moment for him toward the end.
I have no argument. It's kind of like how we just looked at 2 guys off of the Chiefs' defensive line and how they were both at plus money, because there's good options across the board. And I'm going to agree with you here, actually, Joshua. I like Travis Kelce as the option there at 12-1 because there's a good chance he absolutely goes off in this game. There's a good chance that Travis Kelce leads the entire game in receiving yards, and he's not a receiver. So I think if that happens, you're getting a great payoff there at 12-1. Now, I did have someone ask me upstairs, are you throwing your money away by going with a quarterback? I say no. If you go with a quarterback and it's still at plus money, you're still getting some value. So if you want to take a Patrick Mahomes or a Brock Purdy if you're on the Niners side, I don't discredit what you're thinking is there because it usually does go to a quarterback. I do think that you're going to have a harder sell on Christian McCaffrey than you do on a Travis Kelce. So depending on who you think is going to win the game, that's obviously which direction you would go to. If you were the Niners, I would go with your quarterback. If you're the Chiefs, you have a little bit more movement there to go with Travis Kelce.
Nothing?
Well, I was just going to say, I mean, you guys kind of said everything. I think that, you know, Travis Kelce only cooks if Patrick Mahomes is cooking.
Right.
So likely it's going to go to the quarterback, I feel like. And so regardless of how well of a game that Travis Kelce has, I still
think it goes Patrick Mahomes.
That's the hard part about it.
It's tough. I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think it probably does go to Patrick Mahomes.
I think so too, but I think the value, right?
The value.
Right. Like,
I'm just saying, if
I'll
you're
take a
going to
flyer
make
on
the
that.
MVP wager, you might as well get a flyer dollar amount for it.
No doubt. All right, we're going to take one final break over here on the rally. And guys, if you are Super Bowled out before the game has even started, we've got you covered. We'll share some alternative ideas for you and how to spend your Sunday afternoon. That's coming up next.
Welcome back. It's a new day for us here at Stadium. Our new app just launched yesterday, so make sure you scan the QR code on your screen to download the app where you watch and play games and see what it's like here behind the scenes. We are making sure that we're posting every single day so that you can get some behind the scenes look here of what goes on at Stadium, so you can be a part of it with us, and we'd love to interact with you, so make sure you download the app ASAP.
And we've loved hearing all of your comments, especially as talking about the Super Bowl, getting ready for this weekend here. And so we know it's obviously the biggest game of the year, but there's some people out there, not many people, I would say, that maybe don't want to watch the Super Bowl on Sunday.
Why?
So we are going to throw out some maybe alternatives in case maybe you just don't want to catch the big game.
Yeah, if you got any shopping to catch up on, I think Sunday would be the perfect opportunity. The street should be clear, no traffic. Go in the store, it's just going to be you. You got the pick of the litter, all the fresh produce, best looking apples and oranges and things of that nature. So go ahead and get your shopping done.
I think it's always really cool if you go to a movie and no one else is in there, because it's like your own private movie theater. So maybe go check out a movie.
And maybe go to like a restaurant that is usually packed, because a lot of people
has no TVs.
Yeah, that has no TVs. And so, yeah, maybe if you were having a hard time getting that reservation, you might actually get it on Super Bowl Sunday. So give it a shot. Oh, wow. That sounds so good right now. Okay, well, speaking of weekend plans, it's time to get to our weekend picks. Danny K, you are closest to the board, so what you got?
All right, well, let's click a pen. I'm starting to get better at this, guys. I think it's going to be heads. Who scores first? Ooh, I hope it's Chiefs, based off of all the wagers I've made. Let's give Caitlin Clark some love here on the more points. Kelsey proposes I don't see that happening. And Usher's last song.
Ooh, last song.
Let's do Yeah. That was an exclamation point. That
Even so
went
fixated
rogue.
on the first song, we forgot about the last.
Okay, so I'm going tails. Tails never fails, who I always picked when I was a captain out there. I agree with you on the Chiefs. Fast start. It's been their MO during the postseason. Caitlin Clark, easy pick here. Easy pick every time. This is a no. Still too early. Don't try to do all that extra. And let's go with an IDK. I can't even fathom what the last song's going to be.
Not
All right.
OMG.
Not OMG. I'm going to go tails because Joshua says tails never fails. Who scores first? The Chiefs. I'm going to go with them. More points. Well, I saw that the Celtics, they're taking on the Wizards here tonight. And so the Wizards, they're not good. So maybe Tatum will go off. No, he's not going to propose. And his last song, maybe, yeah. Maybe finish on a high note, his most popular song.
Do you have a special marker?
Oh, it's just the back of the pen.
Yeah, I just use the back of the pen.
We've been doing it a while.
Rookie.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get
Unreal.
you a pin here for next time, Danny. All right, let's take a look because we talked about Vegas. One of the biggest features out there is the Sphere. This thing is so cool.
It's so freaking
Showcasing,
cool.
getting the fans ready for the Super Bowl, the big game. Guys, we appreciate you coming and hanging out with us this week. We will see you on Monday.
Happy Super Bowl.
Toodles.